acompanhar juntos, né, mais esta transmissão da Rocket Lab. Agora pelo horário de Brasília, então são 12h08. Então mais uma transmissão da Rocket Lab. Então, mais uma vez, então essa missão tem como objetivo aí de lançar 8 satélites da OroraTech para aí fase 1, né, da constelação, para monitoramento de incêndios florestais. Nós estamos aguardando aí contato então com a Rocket Lab. Tempo de duração desta missão aí é de 52 minutos e 38 segundos. Lançamento previsto para acontecer às 12h30 pelo horário de Brasília. Missão de nome: Find Hot Wildfires Near You. Lançamento número 63 do Electron, número 5 de 2025. Estamos então aguardando contato com a Rocket Lab lá em Bahia, Nova Zelândia. Lembrando que ainda hoje, às 18h50 teremos então a missão Starlink para vocês, né? A missão do grupo 11-7, será lá em Vandenberg, na Califórnia. Lembrando que dia 8, na madrugada do dia 8, teremos então aí missão tripulada da Rússia, né? 2 cosmonautas e 1 astronauta americano. Já estamos iniciando então a nossa transmissão junto com a Rocket Lab. Neste momento, então, vamos acompanhar juntos mais este lançamento aí com vocês. Mais um lançamento do Electron aí para vocês. Vamos lá.
A very early good morning to you from Rocket Lab Launch Complex 1 in Mahia, New Zealand, as we approach T-minus 19 minutes on the countdown clock to our next Electron launch. It has just gone past 4:10 a.m. here in New Zealand, beaming into you from the future on Thursday, the 27th of March. Liftoff is scheduled for 4:30 a.m. local time or 8:30 a.m. Pacific and 11:30 a.m. Eastern. So rise and shine, it is launching time for Finding Hot Wildfires Near You, a dedicated mission for wildfire detection company OroraTech. My name is Muriel Baker.
And I'm Grayson Leslie, and despite the early hour, it's exciting to be here to watch Electron take flight for the 5th time this year, and for its 63rd
Já passamos aí da
launch
marca de 1940 inscritos
The
aqui no
Electron
canal.
rocket live on your screen is standing
todos
tall
aí
on
pelas
Pad B at
inscrições.
Launch Complex 1, and
Estamos
will
chegando
be
então à
our
marca de
3rd
2
mission launched from the spaceport in just 2 weeks.
Yeah, incredible stuff. Now, Electron is carrying 8 satellites on board for today's mission for OroraTech and is heading to a 550-kilometre circular Earth orbit on a 97-degree inclination. Deploying today's satellites on orbit will provide firefighters and emergency workers with near real-time data on how a fire is behaving and situational awareness to better battle wildfires in their hotspots.
So today's launch is targeting a time period known as the afternoon gap. This is the time of day between mornings and evenings that can be missed by other satellites on a sun-synchronous orbit. It's also the time of day when fires start most often and rage the hottest. Today's satellites are being deployed to help fill that gap. Each of them is purpose-built with wildfire detection sensors and thermal imaging cameras for clearer images and a faster response to wildfires. Here's OroraTech with an in-depth explanation of their mission.
Então agora vamos ver um pouquinho aí sobre esta missão de hoje. Faltando aí 17 minutos e 45 segundos para o lançamento. Lembrando também, quem quiser aí colaborar com o nosso canal, temos aí o QR Code Pix aí para poder fazer qualquer contribuição. Só lembrando que esse QR Code não só funciona no Brasil. Agora, pelo horário de Brasília, são 12 horas 13 minutos. Lembrando que vamos aí ficar juntos até então o término aí com a liberação dos 8 satélites da OroraTech. Só lembrando que para nosso canal aí tá monetizado, né? Estamos aí precisando só apenas do cumprimento das horas, né, de visualização aqui do canal. Então, a audiência de vocês é fundamental. Faltando agora 15 minutos e 12 segundos para o lançamento. Lembrando que na marca aí de 12 minutos para o lançamento, vamos ter então o momento do range, né? Do quadro do go no go para o lançamento, né? De vai ou não vai para o lançamento. E aí, quando tivermos na fase então de 10 minutos, teremos aí a contagem terminal para o lançamento. E se caso der algum problema, então aí será dado o tempo de hold ou scrub. E aí, a oportunidade poderá ser dada nos próximos dias, né? Ou no dia seguinte. Mas acredito que hoje não dê nada de errado aí com o Electron. Vamos lá. Vamos continuar então acompanhando. Só recapitulando também que mais tarde, então às 18 horas e 50 minutos, iniciaremos a nossa transmissão para a missão Starlink do grupo 11-7, lá em Vandenberg. E no dia 8, missão tripulada da Soyuz MS-27. Lembrando que o horário do lançamento hoje está previsto para acontecer às 12 horas e 30 minutos, pelo horário de Brasília. Tempo total de duração desta missão é de 52 minutos e 38 segundos. Para quem está chegando agora, esta missão Find Hot Wildfires in You, lançamento 63 do Electron da Rocket Lab, número 5. Deste ano de 2025, hoje com 8 satélites da OroraTech, para então aí fazer continuação do monitoramento e ampliação da constelação da fase 1, para monitoramento então de incêndios florestais no mundo, né? Fase global então aí de monitoramento de incêndios florestais. Para mais, então, vocês poderão acessar aí o site da Rocket Lab para ver um pouco mais aí sobre esta missão de hoje. 13 minutos e 37 segundos para o lançamento. Estamos aí nos aproximando já da marca de 2.000, hein? Vamos continuar se inscrevendo aí e deixando o seu like. Partiu.
All right, T minus 13 minutes, 12 seconds and counting. And we are coming up shortly on today's go, no-go poll for launch. Now, each operator in mission control and range control will tell today's launch director, Michael Pearson, whether they are go and ready to move forward with the count or no-go if they are not. So let's turn up the audio from mission control now and listen in.
Então agora vamos aguardar o momento do go no go para o lançamento. A fase então de 12 minutos do tempo regressivo.
All stations LD on mission, proceeding with the go, no-go sequence. Stage,
Stages go.
avionics,
Avionics is go.
GNC,
GNC's go.
VCon,
VCon is go.
T1,
T1 is go.
GC,
GC's go.
PLS,
PLS is go.
RSO,
RSO is go.
MET,
Met is go.
MM,
is go.
and LD SUP.
LD SUP is go.
Okay, that concludes the go, no-go sequence. We are T minus 11 minutes, 19 seconds and counting. We are go for terminal count auto sequence at T minus 10 minutes, and from this time, the
Está pronto,
three-word
tudo
procedure
pronto
is
para o
in effect.
lançamento. Lembrando então que a fase terminal da contagem
Great news
regressiva
there
será a
from Mission
partir de
Control.
10
All
minutos para o
operators
lançamento.
have confirmed they're ready to
11
move forward
minutos.
with today's liftoff, with the clock set for a 4:30 a.m. on the dot launch in just 10 minutes from now.
Now, on your screen, of course, is Electron, our three-stage carbon composite rocket made specifically for small satellite missions and the world's most frequently launched small orbital rocket. Now, standing at 18 metres tall with a 1.2 metre diameter, Electron is light enough to be rolled out by hand to the launch pad from its hangar. At a dry weight of just over 1 tonne, Electron weighs up to 13 times that by the time it's ready to launch. And that's thanks to its full tanks of liquid oxygen and kerosene across its stages. And altogether, Electron can carry just over 300 kilograms of payload to space. Now, the fairing system at the top of Electron is the protective nose cone that shelters its satellites from the harsh conditions of launch before the fairing is separated by a pneumatic unlocking once Electron is in space.
Now, the workhorse of Electron is the Rutherford engine, weighing as little as 24 kgs. They are 3D printed and powered by batteries, making them the first rocket engines of their kind to reach space when we first launched Electron in 2017. The use of batteries to power Rutherford's electric fuel pumps makes the engine lighter and more efficient, while 3D printing means precise manufacturing and quicker production times during engine build. 9 of them together make up the power pack at the bottom of Stage 1, while a single Rutherford engine with a larger nozzle is what powers Electron's Stage 2.
The platform that the satellites are attached to on Electron is called the kick stage. It sits on top of Electron Stage 2 and is the final piece of the rocket puzzle that is separated in space. It's powered by a smaller engine of its own kind called Curie. And this little engine is highly versatile and is used not only to precisely position satellites on orbit, but also to change the position of the kick stage and perform a deorbit maneuver that can reduce its lifetime in space to help minimize space junk. It is also 3D printed and it can be operated autonomously without constant control from the ground, which makes it great for missions that are deployed outside of a ground station's range. Now, after today's launch, the kick stage's deployment count will rise to 224 satellites delivered to orbit from across 63 missions in total. Our rocket is a leader in the launch industry with its capabilities put to good use by small satellite missions like today's that require a regular, reliable and precise ride to space.
Closer to Earth, there are even more missions our rocket serves below the Kármán line. We build, launch, and operate a version of Electron called Este, which we converted into a suborbital rocket for testing research payloads and at hypersonic speeds. With several more of these missions booked to launch from American soil in the next few months and years, it's about time we showcased Este in a bit more detail. Check it out.
Hypersonic velocity is
Agora, pelo horário de Brasília, são 12 horas e 23 minutos, faltando então 7 minutos e 30 segundos para o lançamento. Estamos aí acompanhando a missão Find Wildfires New, voo número 63 do Electron em sua história, número 5 de 2025. Hoje carregando então 8 satélites da OroraTech. Lançamento então daqui a pouquinho, às 12h30, pelo horário de Brasília. Você está assistindo então o canal WilPTV, onde vocês poderão conferir, sempre vocês podem acompanhar então tudo o que acontece ao redor do mundo e também na Estação Espacial Internacional. Lembrando que já passamos aí da marca de 1940 inscritos. Estamos aí próximos aí da marca de 2K. De 2.000. Então, quem ainda não se inscreveu, se inscreva e deixa o seu like. Compartilhe a transmissão. Mais tarde, missão Starlink, grupo 11-7. Em Vandenberg, na Califórnia. E no dia 8, missão tripulada, ainda Soyuz MS-27. Na sexta-feira também teremos a liberação das signos da missão NG-21 para a Estação Espacial Internacional.
Since its first launch in 2023, Este has taken to the skies 3 times for Department of Defense programs, including twice in 21 days just before the end of last year. And with at least another 5 Este missions locked in for the DoD and its contractors this year and next, you can expect to hear a lot more about our Hypersonics Accelerator and its missions from Wallops Island, Virginia.
Today, though, we're at T-minus 5 or so minutes to liftoff, which means very soon Electron will switch to its internal power and flight computer to run the rest of the countdown autonomously. Soon after that, Electron's launch safety system, the Autonomous Flight Termination System, or AFTS, will be enabled for flight. Both of those actions should be heard across the nets from Mission Control when they happen.
Next on the list will be the completion of propellant load to Electron, followed by propellant tank pressure optimization that makes sure they're at the right pressure levels for launch. And that should happen within the final 60 seconds to liftoff. Then it's over to the 10-second countdown by the launch director, with Electron's Rutherford engines set to ignite at T-minus 2 seconds before launch. The hold-down mechanisms will be released around the same time for Electron to take flight at T0. Now, only a couple more minutes to go until all of that takes place, so let's switch over now to listen into Mission Control and hear the final countdown to liftoff.
Então, aí estamos acompanhando a missão da Rocket Lab Find Hot Wildfires New. Falta aí menos de 4 minutos para o lançamento. Vamos seguir então aí com a transmissão.
GCLD.
ECS is disabled, pad auto sequence is armed, pad is ready for launch.
Copy all. All stations LD on mission. From now, there should be no red flags on your critical LCCs. VCon LD mission.
LD VCon.
Lock auto sequence and confirm.
Locked.
Confirm all flight computer ASGOs are green.
All ASGOs are green.
And all stations, we are go for auto sequence start at T-minus 2 minutes. LD is go for launch.
Dois minutos.
The vehicle is fully on internal power. AFTS is green and enable for flight.
Lock slot is complete. System is in recirculation.
Minuto final.
Anti-geysering is disabled.
Stage 1 and Stage 2 tanks are pressed for flight.
High flow engine purge enabled.
T-minus 20 seconds and counting. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Liftoff.
Beginning pitch over.
Electron is cleared to pad, safe for launch pad.
Stage 1 propulsion nominal.
All right, liftoff for Electron's 63rd launch, and we are on our way to space for this wildfire detection mission for OroraTech. Now at over coming up to 5 kilometers above Earth and traveling at over 900 kilometers an hour. Soon you will hear our operators announce max Q, the point in the rocket's ascent that it experiences the highest aerodynamic stress. So let's listen in for that call.
Cleared max Q.
At T plus 1 minute 15 seconds and counting, that is max Q cleared by Electron on its way to space. Telemetry is looking good, with Electron now traveling faster than the speed of sound at more than 2,000 kilometers per hour. Next up is MECO, or main engine cutoff, followed by stage separation and then second stage engine ignition. MECO is when all 9 Rutherford engines shut down to slow Electron's pace just before the second stage separates. Once that happens, the engine on stage 2 will power up to continue the momentum to orbit, with the engine burn running for several minutes to propel the second stage with its payload. Let's watch it all unfold on our screen in just a few seconds.
"15 seconds to staging."
Entered burnout detect mode.
Nico confirmed.
Stage separation confirmed.
Stage 2 ignition confirmed.
There we go. That was Miko. Stage separation and second stage ignition as planned and confirmed, but what we heard across the nets and saw from Electron's onboard cameras. Travelling at more than 8,000 kilometres per hour now, up next is fairing jettison to separate the nose cone from the second stage. Let's stay with Mission Control and see if we can catch a glimpse of them too as they fall away.
Fairing jettison confirmed.
By fairing and hello space for OroraTech satellites, now exposed to those vacuum conditions above Earth as the mission continues nominally.
AGB discharge holding nominal.
Electron's second stage Rutherford engine is continuing nominally, keeping the mission on track towards its target 550-kilometre circular Earth orbit. Now, the engine has a 6.5-minute burn time before its scheduled stage separation with the kick stage at T plus 9 minutes and 5 seconds. So now that we are at T plus 4 minutes, nearly 5 minutes and counting, that leaves us with another 3 to 4 minutes or so to go in the countdown to engine shutoff.
Some things you'll hear from Mission Control shortly will be HVB battery discharge nominal and approaching hot swap, both of which are callouts related to the battery packs connected to the second stage's Rutherford engine. Those batteries are keeping the mission moving as they power the electric pumps that provide both fuel and oxidizer for Rutherford's combustion. But like all batteries, the longer you use them, the more they drain of power. With the second stage engine burn lasting longer than its first set of batteries, Electron performs a switchover that taps into the next set of batteries while the engine is still running. The maneuver is called the hot swap, and it's a critical next step in the second stage's journey to orbit. Let's watch and listen.
Guidance is nominal, 200 seconds remaining.
HEB discharge holding nominal, approaching hot swap in roughly 30 seconds.
Throttling down.
Battery jettison confirmed.
There we go. That is battery hot swap confirmed from what we heard and have seen just now. The mission is continuing nominally along its trajectory, now past 200 kilometres in altitude and getting close to its required orbital speed of around 27,000 kilometres an hour.
AFTS has saved.
We have about 2 more minutes left in the second stage engine burn before Electron reaches its nominal transfer orbit and separates the kick stage with its satellites. This refers to the planned and expected trajectory the mission will follow when moving from one orbit to another.
Because the kick stage is released in an elliptical pattern, a transfer orbit will bring the kick stage to the altitude of its planned circular Earth orbit. And that journey takes about 40 minutes or so from the moment the kick stage is separated from the second stage. Now, once the kick stage reaches its target, its own engine will light up to perform additional maneuvers that circularize its altitude for that desired payload drop-off.
Before that happens, first we have to pass through engine shutdown on stage 2 and the final stage separation. It's a similar process to what was achieved with Electron's first and second stages just minutes ago. Stage 2's engine will throttle down and shut off in preparation for separation before the kick stage is released and sent on its way with OroraTech satellites.
Entered burnout detect mode.
Guidance is in terminal, 20 seconds remaining.
SECO confirmed.
There we go. That was SECO confirmed on the second stage and a successful deployment of the kick stage to its nominal transfer orbit. Great news for the team and the mission so far. Now, with that work done, we still have the business end of the mission in 40 minutes or so. And so, as we talked about, we're now in an elliptical orbit until the kick stage can perform its engine burn to place that mission on its circular orbit. And that will happen when we get to the other side of the planet. So we'll come back and join you to listen into those final moments then before payload deployment, just after the top of the hour.
Until then, you can follow the kick stage's journey with this tracking graphic as it continues in its coast phase around Earth. See you back here soon.
Então voltaremos daqui a 40 minutos. Siga nosso canal, WilPTV. Tudo acontece, nós te mostramos tudo o que acontece ao redor do mundo. Também na Estação Espacial Internacional. Já a gente volta. Estamos então acompanhando a missão da Rocket Lab Find Wildfires Near You. O lançamento então aconteceu às 12 horas e 31 minutos pelo horário de Brasília. Missão essa com 8 satélites da OroraTech. Nesses instantes, então, iremos acompanhar aí o momento então, da liberação desses 8 satélites, fazendo parte então, da sua constelação Fase 1. Lembrando que logo mais, missão de Starlink, a partir das 18 horas e a partir das 10 para as 7 da noite. Então fiquem ligados aqui no canal UPTV. Lembrando que este lançamento então, do Electron foi o de número 63 da sua história, número 5 deste ano de 2025. Não se esqueça de se inscrever, de compartilhar e de deixar o like na transmissão. Tempo de missão até agora, 47 minutos. Dentro de instantes, então teremos a liberação dos 8 satélites da OroraTech. Vamos seguir acompanhando então a transmissão. Para ter então o término com a liberação então dos satélites. Tempo de missão agora 47 minutos e 45 segundos. Estamos ao vivo para vocês. Lembrando que então, quem quiser contribuir via Pix, para ajudar o canal aí, e aí pôs na tela para vocês. Só apontar então a câmera do seu celular para o QR. Agora pelo horário de Brasília são 13 horas 19 minutos. Lembrando que também na sexta-feira, dia 28, às 4 da manhã, vamos acompanhar então a liberação das signos da missão NG-21. A liberação ocorrerá na Estação Espacial Internacional dando fim à missão NG-21, missão de carga da Northern Blue.
Welcome back. You are joining us just in time for payload deployment of 8 satellites for OroraTech's wildfire detection mission. Now, if you missed liftoff earlier today, it was our 63rd launch and a nominal one through max Q, main engine cutoff, stage separation, second stage startup, and second stage cruise to the mission's nominal transfer orbit, where it separated the kick stage in preparation for payload deployment coming up in just a few minutes.
Since the kick stage's release from Electron, it has since completed its first pass of Earth and lit its Curie engine to position itself in a circular orbit. We're now waiting for confirmation that the engine has shut off, which will mean we're just moments away from payload deployment for OroraTech. Let's listen in now for the calls from Mission Control for confirmation that engine cutoff has occurred.
Curie cutoff confirmed.
Nominal final orbit achieved.
E agora então
Curie
vamos para o
shutdown is
momento da
confirmed.
liberação.
Excellent news for the mission.
Satélites.
Now less than a minute until the 8 OroraTech satellites are released from the kick stage to begin their wildfire detection mission.
The satellites will be released from their dispensers 2 at a time across 4 events, and the first deployment is now just moments away.
Deployment of payloads Untitled, SC, and Esperanza confirmed.
That is 2 down, 6 to go for OroraTech. Now, each deployment takes place within seconds of each other, so we won't have long to wait for the next pair to be released.
Deployment of payloads Kremble Bro 2 and Thermoraptor confirmed.
That's 4 down, halfway through the deployment sequence here. 4 more to go in the next minute or so.
Deployment of payloads Kremble Bro 2 and Till Infinity confirmed.
6 satellites on orbit now for OroraTech, only 2 more to go to complete the full payload deployment.
Expected deployment of Neurospicy and Langer to Space.
E assim concluímos a
Now on
nossa
their journey to
missão de
finding
hoje.
hot wildfires near you.
Hot
That's
Finder,
mission
Finder
success
Hot
for Electron
Wildfires
with
near
payload
you.
deployment confirmed.
Missão número 63 do Electron, número 5 de 2025.
Your mission is now underway.
8 satélites
So
finais
that's
colocados em
224
órbita
satellites
da
delivered to
OroraTech.
space, 63 missions, 3 launches in 2 weeks, all achieved by one team. So well done to everyone involved at Rocket Lab with another mission success for Electron. And we'll be back to the pad again soon with our next launch from Launch Complex 1.
As always, thank you for joining us and sticking with the mission right to the end. Stay locked to our social media feeds for up-to-date information on all things happening in the lab. Until next time, this is Rocket Lab Mission Control, signing off.
Encerramos aqui a nossa transmissão. Muito obrigado por assistir o nosso canal. Lembrando mais tarde, Missão Starlink. Até mais.